What is the most fucked up thing a person you know has done? He slept with his son's long-term girlfriend, like his son's first love, told his son like it was no big deal. He told us about it at work, and said his son was being a bit of a bitch about it. We then watched his life fall apart as both his kids cut him out of their lives. Dude found out he became a grandpa from his older daughter via an email with no pictures. As you can imagine, sleeping with his son's GF was the worst thing. I'm aware of that he's done, but he was a horrible person generally speaking. I bet he was shocked when his family started treating him like the piece of shit that he is. I'm glad that his family excommunicated him. I know someone who did this. The dad fucked the son's girl and knocked her up. Apparently, it was intentional, and the dad literally bailed on his family to start a new family with the son's GF. What a sack of shit. Why would you ever want to do something like that to your own fucking kid? My friend's dad stabbed his wife in a heated argument and blew up their house while dad was still inside. Heard the explosion from my own bedroom. Luckily my friend and his sister were elsewhere. The local newspaper articles were hauntingly graphic about it. I'm pretty sure my uncle brutally murdered his first wife. It remains a cold case, but there's a heap of suspicious circumstances and evidence that points to his guilt. Someone even wrote a book about it. He was the last one to see her alive, and the first to find her. Only half an hour later, she'd been stabbed repeatedly in the face. Yeah, a murder like that seems oddly personal based on actions. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but usually stabbings are more likely to be someone incredibly close to the victim. The brother of a girl I dated years ago almost hacked his ex-girlfriend to death with a machete and then tried to kill himself by overdosing. They both survived and I believe he's still in prison. I hacked his ex-girlfriend and thought, that's not too bad. Then to death. I know a dude who shit down a chimney, impressive as it was fucked up. He was probably blowing smoke up his ass. My uncle left my aunt for their son's wife. Edit. Not long after their son, my cousin married another woman with the same name, and visits his dad and ex. Of all the stories, this was the shortest one with the biggest WTF? I find the visiting part the most disturbing. There was a decomposing dead cat stuck between a fence and a wall next to the gym in my school. If physical education was our first lesson, we had to wait in front of the gym until someone fetched the keys. My friend Jason went to fetch the keys and left his bag. This fat class bully Toby used 2 sticks to pick up the dead cat, opened Jason's bag, and put the cat in. Jason hasn't noticed anything until we were in the locker room. He opened the bag, saw the dead cat, dropped the bag. Cat fell apart. Soup of rotten cat insides crawling with maggots splashed to the floor. Class was cancelled. Cleaning company had to disinfect the locker room. What was that guy expecting? Hope he got detention. We really need better punishments for bullies. For example, the bully should have been given cleaning equipment, gloves, mask, etc. and made to clean it up. Edit. I can only understand detention if there was no proof and it's just one student's word against another. I found out a teenage girl at my church and her 2 sisters were being molested by their stepdad. I called the police and reached out to the girl's parents who always brought her to church. They already knew and hadn't said anything. Eventually I found out a dozen people, including their mother, knew, but they all preferred it to be handled by the church. Edit. The stepdad was a Christian pastor. Also, it's scary how many people have commented about having similar experiences. What exactly did they think the church was going to do about this? Pray? That's so fucked up, and I'm glad you stepped up to call the cops on him. He went to his wife's work New Year's party and got really drunk. He suddenly decided his wife was having an affair with her boss. A loud shouting match ensued and he suddenly pulled out a gun. He shot his wife, her boss, and himself in the head. He and her boss were doer. His wife lost her vision but survived. They had 3 small children. That doesn't sound like a drink game time decision. That sounds like it was premeditated if he showed up with a gun. I just know someone who stole a shirt. What the hell is going on in Wild's lives? Yeah, legit. I was like HM when my best friend was 13. She stole a slime with googly eyes in a toy store. Dude's a menace to society. Guy I went to high school with beat his GF to death and spent less than 6 months in jail. How can you spend less than 6 months in jail for killing someone? Question mark. A 19-year-old girl I used to know was shot and killed by her 40-plus boyfriend while they were fighting. He said he was cleaning his gun and got 2 years probation. My ex-best friend slept with a co-worker that was freshly married and had a newborn in the wife's car twice. In the late 1990s, a guy in my fantasy football league was arrested for molesting his kids. He made his wife participate as well as the family pet. Real sick stuff. Creeped the rest of us out when we found out. Truly nauseating. I was casually dating a woman who began constantly pressed me for sex very early in the relationship. After several months of non-intercourse fooling around, I decided what the fuck and have sex with her. The plan was dinner at her place, then spend the night. After dinner and a couple of bottles of wine, the fun began. Then, oh shit, broken condom. She said, don't worry, I'm on the pill. My response was, fine, show them to me. She would not. No show on her prescription either. Something told me to check the trash where I discovered a condom wrapper with a pinhole in it. Upon confronting her, she confessed and told me that she had a daughter who committed suicide and that God owed her another child. Suffice to say that was it, or so I thought. Now 20 years later I have a son who I won custody of at age 4. Is now an engineering student at UOFU. She owes me $600k in back child support. I will never see a penny, and I have discovered that family courts hate men. Whoa, what a dad. You must mean the world to your son. Now I'm going to have to call up my pop and tell him how much he means to me. Sadly no, my son feels that I have been unjust to his mother by persecuting her in family court and with the eyes by try to collect court-ordered child support, legal fees and 10% annual interest over more than 20 years of her paying exactly zero. I think he'll come around eventually. Stay the course. It sounds like you're doing the right thing. I was friends with a girl who was obsessed with babies. You know how some girls really like horses? She was like that with babies. Not kids, just babies and toddlers. She was only friends with me because I babysat a lot. I found out later she would take used diapers out of the ladies' bathroom. I wonder what she's doing now, but I wish I didn't. My dad ran a small but successful business for over a decade, but when my eldest brother started working with him he ruined us to the point that he almost made us homeless. After he left us high and dry, my dad had spent 3-4 years trying to do damage control but ultimately had to sell the business for less than half its worth. To this day my eldest brother has never apologized nor has taken any responsibility for his actions. I have zero respect for that scumbag. Oh, I'm in a similar situation. The son is quite useless. Made more debts to the company than anything, yet the owner insists he's good. My dad couldn't fire my brother because he's the most experienced and taught him everything he knew, so he was reliable to look after the store whenever my dad stepped out. Even though he knows almost as much as my dad, he still felt like doing things his way and not the right way. While at work, a former co-worker of mine was hogtied and carried off by us marshals for CP sexual assault of a minor. None of us had any suspicions about it and we worked with him every day. Yeesh. A former co-worker of mine was arrested for CP during his shift too. Thankfully I don't believe he ever actually assaulted a child, but he did spend a small amount of time in jail for the amount of CP he had in his possession. I was absolutely shocked. My friend went to party out of the country with his GF, his male friend and his female friend. They were at the club and his female friend, who is his GF's best friend, told him that she has never kissed anyone and that she wants her first kiss to be special. He grabbed her head and started French kissing her while she tried to make him stop. His GF was laughing about it. Afterwards, he recorded her crying about it in a taxi while mocking her and he posted that vid to his close friends on Instagram. Well, that's terrible. That poor girl. Sexual assault, and those are definitely not her friends. A female friend of mine murdered her mother, shot her to death in the shower. Heavy. Do you know why? Used up all the hot water. My dad used to throw our cats at trees as hard as he could and laugh as we cried as the cat would limp away and never come home. What the fuck? Your dad sucks. Jesus, some of these are ooh off. I'm sitting here thinking, well, that high school teacher that had sex with a student while her mom was also a teacher at that same school was a good story. Clearly not. For real, not sure what I expected specifically, but FFS people are just like terrible wild animals. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Reddit videos.